Hey, and thanks for joining my channel. My name is Jesse, and I am journaling my transition from working to retirement. I'm 48 years old. I'll be 49 this year, and I am expecting to retire when I'm 55. So I've got about 6 years. My plan is to retire as soon as I pay off my house. I've been in the Navy for the last 24 years. I just retired, and now I'm transitioning to, I'll say, a real job, a normal job, a civilian job, and uh, and I've done pretty well with saving up for retirement. So I think 55 will be that magic number when I'll be able to retire. But I am nervous about what is required to do that. I think as I've been starting to watch YouTube videos, that seems to be a very common experience, is that people are nervous about what will it take, what will it look like to retire. Part of the reason that I'm thinking about this is, as most of everybody that probably watches channels like this, is you've been working for decades, and now I'm to the point where I'm looking at the future, and I think maybe I don't need uh, the large paychecks every month and to buy all the latest and greatest of everything. Maybe I would prefer to take time and maybe work in the yard, maybe travel a little bit, definitely spend time with my wife and kids. One day, not yet, but one day, grandkids. And so I'm excited about the possibility. Maybe also it helps that I'm a planner, so I'm thinking, okay, now that I've finished one career and transitioned into another career, I'm planning something different. And so my hope is to walk through this journey on YouTube. Maybe it will be beneficial for other people to see, and and then also, if you provide comments, then I can take those and maybe integrate those into my plan to have a more solid retirement plan. One of the nice things, I guess, having spent a career in the military, is that military pension. So I think if I pay off my house, what I have in my pension should be able to cover all of my normal monthly expenses. And so I think that's going to set me up pretty well to retire at 55. Now, some of the things that I'm starting to learn as I'm transitioning into this new mentality is to start prepping for that retirement. And this is where I'm really starting to learn, and I'm hoping for comments and um, and also, yeah, I guess guidance is how to prep for a retirement plan, how to strategize my investments, how to build out, I guess, those sequence of return risks. And so one of the things that I saw online that I would have never thought to do this far in advance, but it sounds like it's something that I should be doing, is building out that financial plan and using software to do that. So I've got to give props to the people that I've been watching up to this point. The first one I started with was a young lady named, well, her show is, her channel is Erin Talks Money. And she's actually really great. I think that she gives a lot of good uh, advice that's very uh, holistic, so sometimes she'll talk about, you know, the 4% rule, and then she'll talk about buckets, and then she'll talk about guardrails. So, and then she has various different people on her channel, and I've really enjoyed watching her. But one of probably the biggest things that she does is at the end of her show, she always has bloopers. So that was, I'll say, the catch that brought me into her shows. And from her, I started watching another gentleman named Joe Kuhn, and I think his channel is Joe Kuhn uh, Retires or Retirement. But I feel like he's more on par with where I am as far as, financially, or maybe with regard to his previous experience in a career. So I really relate to him quite a bit. So I watch him a lot, especially for now, seeing where he is in his retirement and thinking about when he retired and what he did. I feel like the information I glean from his YouTube channel is very relevant to where I envision I want my transition to go. But I'm trying to start this off early, 49, uh, in order to really have everything in place so that when I turn 55 and I decide that's, when I'm going to retire, that I have all of my strategies aligned. Not that anything's perfect, but I'm hoping that by doing all of this advanced work, that it will transition to maybe in retired at 55. The other person I watch, and probably, well, I won't say favorite, because so far both Aaron and Joe seem to be really my favorites. But also another person for a different aspect is a guy named Ronnie Christian. I don't remember. Maybe that's his channel's name, Ronnie Christian. But he's an older gentleman in 60. I say older just because he's older than me. Maybe he feels very young, but he's I think 68. But I really enjoy his channel because he really gives a lot of hope. And so one of the things that, probably like everybody else, okay, how do I get to 1 million? How do I get to 2 million? How is it even possible in a retirement account? How does my military pension play into that? Can I now have a lot less because I have a military pension? And but still very nervous. What happens if I pass away and now my wife only gets a portion of that military pension, yet she's will my investments last for her life? And so all these things go through my mind, and makes me very nervous and very excited. But hey, if uh, that's the point of planning, is so that way you are prepared for the various different things in your life. But what Ronnie Christian brings to the table is a lot of hope. He really says, look, this is it's great to be retired. You don't need nearly as much as you think you do. You've got to have your expenses covered, but that a lot of the expenses go down in retirement. And so I'm excited to think that 55 is very doable, very doable. Which I would have said 2 years ago, maybe even 1 year ago. I don't even know if it would have been on the horizon that that was something that was doable. And so I'm pretty excited to think that uh, that 55 is a very realistic number for me to retire. Now, I am working very hard to pay off my house. I'll say every extra penny that I have beyond what I'm putting into my investment accounts and what we need to live on, I am pumping as much into the house as I can, because my thought is, if I don't have any car loans, if I can pay off the house, and I'll be completely debt free. And while I know that I could take that money and invest, and there's a very good chance that the market would provide a higher return than I'm paying in interest on my house, uh, the real concern I have is if I pass away. And so if I were to pass away and that not having a house payment, then my wife would be able to not have to worry about losing the house because of a reduction in pension, or trying to make a large house payment on whatever we have in retirement, and so in our retirement accounts. And so that is probably the biggest reason for working on paying off the house. All right, what else? The I'm not nervous about healthcare because of, again, the military retirement. That's really been is significant in the sense of healthcare and that pension. But I am very, like I said, very excited. All right, I think that's probably a good introduction. I think what I'm going to try and do with these videos is once a week, sit down and walk through uh, sort of what I'm doing and what I'm learning and what I'm struggling with. And then just see, maybe if I get commenters, I can go back and read those comments and see what would it look like to uh, retire early. Also, with that software, something that both my brother-in-law and Joe Kuhn had mentioned was a software named Boldin, Boldin. And so I've got that. I would have never thought that I needed to start looking at something like that 6 years in advance, but it seems like that is exactly the time frame that you should be looking at how your finances are going to play out in retirement. So I went ahead and I got that software. I've started plugging numbers into it. I found it not easy to use yet, but I've only been playing on it with my phone. So I think maybe if I break out the laptop, something with a little more power and a little more screen size, it might have more functionality rather than app-based. Or yeah. So I'm going to keep plugging away at that. The other thing is right now I'm fully invested in equities, and I think that might be okay, but I feel like I need to transition. I want to try. So my goal is to retire and use guardrails and to have buckets. Uh, Now, with I'm thinking two buckets. Bucket one being fixed, and bucket two being 100% equities. The question that I have that I'm researching right now is what do those buckets look like? Uh, how much do I put in those buckets? Uh, when do I transition to buckets? Like I said, right now I'm 100% in equities. And then check out like Social Security is a ways away, but start looking at how I would utilize Social Security between my wife and I. And anyways, that's some initial thoughts and on how I want to proceed with this channel. But I'm really hoping that I get some people viewing and that I get some comments on how to do this. I think, yeah, I think, like I said, I'm going to try and do one of these videos a week and talk about expectations in retirement, maybe traveling in retirement. Maybe I'll go into a little bit of my past life and what I've done for enjoyment. Uh, Maybe instead of looking off to the left and right, maybe I'll learn how to actually do these videos to where they're entertaining. Maybe come in with some stories. Maybe not have so many birds around, although sitting outside by the pool is exactly what I want to do on a Saturday morning when I'm recording this video. And and then if I start getting comments, then maybe I can reply to those comments. All right. Thanks for listening to this. And I'm going to say adieu for now, and I'll make another video for next week. Thanks. Bye.